We all know the classic American holidays: Independence Day, Thanksgiving, President's Day. But have you ever stopped and thought, you know what we're missing? A Trump Day. Yep, you heard me right, Trump's Day. Representative Claudia Tenney has introduced a bill to make June 14th not just Flag Day, but also an official celebration of Donald J. Trump's birthday.
Hey guys, hope you've been enjoying our latest videos because let's be real, nothing says stay informed like an animated news segment with a side of satire. We love bringing you cartoon news. And let's just say, this past week has been wild. So here are some of our top drops, exposing the pants-on-fire approach of this administration. First up, King Trump. Yep, he basically declared himself royalty in America.
All hail the king! Yep, Trump just referred to himself as a king, and the world is surprised. Really, is there any doubt left? At this point, if Donald Trump didn't go further and try to make himself a permanent U.S. president, or better yet, the actual king he proclaimed in his Truth Social post, he'd be a fool. The groundwork is already set. The war against federal agencies that could check his power. The GOP Congress falling in line to obey before they even complain. And the Democrats, well, they stuck as the toothless small minority figure, basically unable to stop him. I doubt very much this GOP will save themselves, let alone America. America's last hopes now rest on voters. The courts and whatever institutions still value democracy, assuming they survive the onslaught of the Doge, led by none other than Elon Musk. And if those fail, well then, the virus may as well be coming for democracy itself. But if democracy still stands for the next 2 years, when Americans go to the polls, flipping the House from Republican to Democrat might be the only shot left at saving democracy.
Then we've got a tense little back and forth between the US president and Ukraine's.
A never-ending war of words just took over today's news media. Former US President Donald Trump, never one to shy away from controversy, has stirred the pot yet again. This time by suggesting that Ukraine should sit this one out while he, the great deal maker, negotiates peace with Russia. Yes, you heard that right. Ukraine, the country actually being invaded, apparently doesn't need a seat at the table. Naturally, this didn't sit well with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, who wasted no time firing back, declaring that Trump is living in a bubble of lies and parroting Kremlin propaganda. Ouch! But did Trump back down? Of course not! Instead, he doubled down, questioning Zelensky's legitimacy because Ukraine postponed elections, conveniently ignoring that a little something called martial law makes holding elections during an invasion a tad difficult. Experts were quick to correct him, but, as we know, facts have never really mattered, Totrum. And then, as if things couldn't get any more absurd, Trump claimed that Zelensky's approval ratings had nosedived to a tragic 4%, which, of course, is about as real as Trump's humility. In reality, Zelensky still enjoys strong public support, hovering well above 50%, because, well, fighting for your country's survival tends to earn you some points. But hey, why let facts get in the way of a good feud?
Next, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett had some words about Southern Republican-led states, spicy ones.
Did you miss the Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett interview on MSNBC? Well, let me bring you up to speed. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett of Texas just dropped a truth bomb on MSNBC, and let's just say some feathers are definitely ruffled. She basically called ruby red southern states broke and that they depend on the federal funding than any other blue democratically led states. Just listen.
But the problem is that we have a president that is adversarial to states that don't vote for him. And so what some of these people fail to realize, down in Alabama, who's broke, down in Louisiana, who's broke, I can go through pretty much the entire South and tell you that they're broke and they rely on a lot of welfare from the government. To be perfectly honest, it is tax dollars from these big blue states like New York.
Yep, according to her, states like Alabama and Louisiana are limping along on federal aid, basically surviving off the generosity of, you guessed, wealthier Democratic-led states footing the bill. This fact should be sounded out even louder by Democrats. Let them know at least New York, California are paying the bills.
And oh, this one's good. Turns out Elon Musk's Doge has been lying to us all. Shocked? We're not.
This next one I call the $55 billion mirage. So Elon Musk Doge only cuts $2 billion of people's livelihood. But then they deceived Americans on their website of cutting $55 billion waste. It claimed on Doge.gov that it has miraculously slashed $55 billion in government waste. But it turns out this was big, huge lies. Verifiable reports, including from NPR, reveal that Doge has actually cut just $2 billion, and not from waste, oh no, but from firing real people from real jobs that Americans actually needed. And guess what? The Trump administration has since crawled back into the shadows, practically begging many of these workers to return. So, what does Doge actually do? It slashes blindly, prioritizing flashy numbers and chaotic tweets over actual efficiency. So, here we are, livelihoods ruined, chaos unleashed, and Doge still pretending it's saving the day when, in reality, it's just another scam.
Speaking of Musk, the undercover president, as some would call him, now has his very own Secret Service detail.
Unelected personnel, Elon Musk now has his own Secret Service. In an absolutely unprecedented move, the U.S. Marshals Service has deputized members of Elon Musk's private security detail, granting them certain rights and protections typically reserved for federal law enforcement agents. Yes, you heard that correctly. Elon Musk, a man whose most official title should be Chief Meme Officer, now has a security team with federal authority. And let's be honest, Musk has long harbored a desire to be president of the United States. Despite one tiny little problem, he's completely unqualified to run for office. Now, his security team has more authority than most mall cops. The exact number of Musk's security personnel who have been deputized remains a mystery, because of course it does. But this deputization grants them enhanced rights, potentially allowing them to carry weapons on federal grounds. And here's the kicker. This means the actual U.S. Marshals Service could be held legally liable for anything Musk's security team does under this new authority. So, in summary, Elon Musk, a man who tweets memes, sells flamethrowers, and once named his child something that sounds like a Wi-Fi password, now has a federally backed security force. What a time to be alive.
And finally, we wrap things up with a must-see Republicans and some former Trump officials actually hearing from their own voters. And let's just say, it wasn't all love and hugs.
Just 1 month into this cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs administration, and the MAGA crowd is already revolting. Too soon, guys, too soon. Several Trump administration officials and GOP reps were bullied after facing their own people to explain the Doge mass firing and federal aid mysteriously vanishing. Here's one. And
when will you stand up to them and say that is enough?
The end result of the fraud and abuse that has been discovered already.
Absolutely no proof.
oh, look, another one.
Tyranny is rising in the White House, and a man has declared himself our king. So I would like to know, rather, the people would like to know what you, congressmen, and your fellow congressmen are going to do to rein in the megalomaniac in the White House.
One more.
Good morning, I'm Kevin Kiley. I represent California's 3rd District. California's high-speed rail disaster is the worst public infrastructure failure in U.S. history. Guess there are at least a few people who still support high-speed rail in California. But very few. California's high-speed rail disaster is the worst public infrastructure failure in U.S. history. And that is why today's action by Secretary Duffy is so important. And it's why I have introduced legislation to cut off all federal funding for high-speed rail going forward. And this is a very important point.
Guys, why not wait a year? I mean, this guy literally promised America gloom and doom. But in your little minds, you thought that would only affect the others. Turns out, most of the aid you think only black people are getting you are the ones actually reaping the benefits. So I say, wait, don't revolt yet. Give it a year. Let's see if you'll even have the strength left after all the hunger to come back here and revolt.
We're an independent news agency, which means we're out here doing our thing without the backing or censorship of the big guys like CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, and the rest. The mainstream media is out here trying to drown out real voices, but we're here to amplify them. We're not alone in this. Shout out to Don Limon, MTN, Roland Martin, Unfiltered, and of course, us at OGM News, because we are dedicated to fighting for the people's voice. So if you love what we do, don't forget to slap that follow button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Oh, and if you're feeling generous, Facebook has this thing called stars and TikTok has diamonds. So feel free to toss some our way to support our amazing columnists and studio engineers who work around the clock to bring you news as it is, not as the mainstream media wants you to believe.